Life has a way of teaching us lessons in the most unexpected ways. We all have this quiet belief, somewhere deep inside, that the walls we've built around ourselves will protect us. We think that if we plan enough, prepare enough, or arm ourselves with the best tools, we will remain untouchable. Nations think this way too. For years, Israel carried that very belief. With its advanced technology, intelligence networks, and military dominance, it seemed like nothing could penetrate its fortress of security. But then, something happened, a moment that shook that illusion. Iran revealed the personal data of Israeli pilots to the world. Names, identities, details that were never meant to leave the shadows. And in that moment, the illusion of safety cracked. Because true fear doesn't always arrive with the sound of missiles. Sometimes it comes in silence, in the form of knowledge. The realization that someone somewhere is watching. This wasn't just a military move, it was psychological. It was as if Iran was whispering to Israel, "You are no longer untouchable." And this is a lesson that goes beyond geopolitics. It's a reflection of life itself. So many of us walk around with the same illusion. We think that the job we have, the wealth we collect, the relationships we cling to, they make us safe. But life can surprise you. Sometimes it only takes one unexpected moment to remind you how fragile your walls truly are. Think for a moment about the pilots themselves. These are men and women who have spent years in training, believing that they control the skies, that their names are hidden, their missions secret. And then, in a single instant, the world knows who they are. Can you imagine the weight of that? It's not just about physical danger, it's about the heaviness in the heart, the uneasiness in the mind. This is the battlefield of the 21st century, one where fear and doubt can be more paralyzing than weapons. I want you to pause and reflect on this, because it's not just about nations. It's about us. How many times have we built our identity on something temporary? On the things we own, the roles we play, the masks we wear. We think we are safe behind those masks until life pulls one down, and suddenly we are exposed. It is in those moments we realize that our true strength does not come from the walls we build. It comes from the courage within to face the world without them. The exposure of those pilots is not just a headline. It is a story of vulnerability, of human fragility in the age of technology and information. And it teaches us that even the most powerful can be humbled, in a world where every wall can be breached. It is not the illusion of control that will protect us. It is the ability to adapt, to face uncertainty with resilience, and to stand firm when our comfort zone crumbles. What Iran did to Israel was not just a tactical move, it was a symbolic one. It was a reminder to the world that dominance is never permanent and that arrogance always has a cost. But in that reminder is also a gift, if we are willing to see it. It tells us that we must learn to live without leaning on false security. We must build lives, communities, and even nations that are strong not just in weapons or technology, but in wisdom, unity, and moral clarity. Because those are the foundations no data breach can touch. Picture this: a young pilot walking toward his jet, the morning sun reflecting on the metallic wings, his heart filled with pride and purpose. For him, the sky is freedom, and the sky is safety. But somewhere far away, his name has already been spoken by those who wish him fear. His world has changed, and he hasn't even left the ground. This is the kind of world we are living in now, a world where safety is an illusion if it only exists outside and not within. And so I leave you with this thought. Never place your sense of security in walls that can be broken. Build the kind of strength that no enemy can see and no crisis can destroy. Because in a world where even the strongest fortresses can fall, the only true safety lies in the resilience of the human spirit. The thing about conflict is that it never stays where it starts. A spark might begin in one corner of the world, but if the wind is strong enough, that spark can turn into a fire that travels far beyond its borders. What we are seeing between Israel and Iran right now is not just a clash between two nations. It is the shadow of a storm that threatens to touch the entire region and maybe even the world. When Iran exposed the data of Israeli pilots, it wasn't just a direct challenge to Israel's military. It was a signal to everyone watching that the boundaries of this conflict are fragile. It was a message that said, "We can reach you, even if you think you are far away." And this is how modern wars begin to expand. Not always through missiles first, but through messages, through warnings, through psychological tremors that ripple across borders. You see, the Middle East has always been a sensitive landscape. A single move, a single strike, a single threat It never remains isolated. Neighbors start to worry. Alliances are tested. Global powers pay attention because they know that this region isn't just about land, it is about resources, influence, and the lifelines of world trade. The Strait of Hormuz, for example, carries a significant portion of the world's oil supply. Imagine for a moment if this tension spills over, if trade routes are threatened, if nations far away start to feel the economic heat of a war they thought was distant. Suddenly, the fire is no longer regional, it is global. But beyond politics and economics, there is something deeper happening here. This confrontation is psychological. It is about fear, uncertainty, and the invisible weight of instability. People living in these regions are not just reading news headlines, they are living with the constant awareness that everything could change in a heartbeat. A child in Tel Aviv, a mother in Tehran, a student in Beirut, they are all feeling the silent tremor of a world that feels less safe. This is what I call the emotional ripple effect of war. It doesn't care about borders. It travels through hearts and minds long before it shows up in battlefields. There is a life lesson here too, if we are willing to see it. Human conflicts are not isolated. They are connected, just like our own personal struggles. When we allow anger, ego, and fear to guide our decisions, the fire doesn't stay in one corner of our life. It spreads. To our relationships, to our work, to our health. Nations are no different. A single act of aggression, a single refusal to step back and reflect can ignite consequences that are bigger than anyone anticipated. This is why wisdom in moments of tension is more powerful than any weapon. The strongest nations, like the strongest people, are not those who can strike the hardest. They are those who can see beyond the immediate moment and protect the bigger picture. Right now, the bigger picture is clear. A regional war would not stay regional. It would pull in neighbors, superpowers, and millions of innocent lives. And all it takes is one decision made in anger or pride for that spark to become uncontrollable. Let us also acknowledge the human side of this. Behind every headline, every political statement, there are people who just want to live their lives. There are children who want to go to school without fear. There are parents who want to see their children grow without the sound of sirens or the weight of uncertainty. War is never just about nations. It is about the ordinary people whose lives are changed forever, often without their consent. And so, we are reminded of a simple true thing. The expansion of conflict is not inevitable, it is a choice. Just as in our own lives, when anger rises, when conflict tempts us to escalate, we have a choice to pause, to reflect, to ask ourselves what the ripple effect of our actions will be. If nations can remember this, if leaders can remember this, they might save not just their own people, but the world from a crisis that could have been prevented. So here is the reflection I leave with you. Sparks are small, but fires are merciless. Whether in our personal lives or on the global stage, we must ask ourselves, are we feeding the spark with ego and anger? Or are we learning to guard the world and our hearts from a fire that could burn far beyond our imagination